My boyfriend texted me. I'm flying to meet my online girlfriend for Valentines. I was standing at my desk at work when the message came in. Not sitting, not relaxed. Standing, mid-email, coffee cooling beside my keyboard, life feeling painfully normal. For a second, my brain refused to process the words. I read the text again and again. The letters didn't rearrange themselves into something less insane. So I typed back one word. What? The typing bubble appeared instantly, like he'd been waiting for permission to destroy me. You heard me. This relationship isn't working. She understands me emotionally in ways you never could. I deserve to explore this connection. My hands went cold, not shaking yet, just numb. That hollow quiet settled into my chest, the kind that usually comes right before bad news at a hospital. 4 years together, 2 years living together, and he was telling me, casually, confidently, that he was flying out that afternoon to meet another woman for Valentine's Day. Then I saw the notification from my banking app. A pending charge, $487, airline ticket. My card. Not even my main card. The supplementary one I'd given him for emergencies, the one he'd already been using for food delivery and random online purchases while he'd been unemployed for months. I didn't text back. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I opened my banking app, canceled the card, removed him as an authorized user, changed every password I could think of, shopping, subscriptions, utilities, called my phone carrier and removed his line from my plan. It took less than 20 minutes. Then I went back to work like nothing had happened. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. What did you do? His voice cracked, high and frantic. My card got declined. I'm at the airport. They won't let me board. My Uber won't work. I'm stuck. I leaned back in my chair, stared at the ceiling, and felt something strange settle in. Clarity. You said you were flying to meet your girlfriend, I said calmly. Why would I pay for that? Silence. Then, but I don't have any money. You know that. And that was the moment I understood. This wasn't just betrayal. This was entitlement. And I was done funding it. I met him 4 years ago in the most ordinary way, through mutual friends at a small get-together that was supposed to be nothing special. I remember thinking he was quiet, observant, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. When he laughed, it felt earned, not loud or performative. That was what drew me in first. At the beginning, things felt balanced. We both worked. We both paid our way. We cooked together, argued gently, apologized easily. He used to tell me I was grounding, that being with me made him feel like his life finally had structure. I took that as a compliment. I didn't realize then that what he really meant was support, emotional, financial, logistical. When we moved in together after 2 years, it felt like the natural next step. The apartment was in my name. That wasn't a power move. It was just practical. My credit was better. My income was stable. He agreed it made sense. At first, he contributed. Rent, groceries, utilities, nothing dramatic. We were a team. Then he lost his job. The first month, I didn't think twice. Layoffs happen. He was shaken, embarrassed, withdrawn. I covered things without making it a big deal. I told him to take a breather, get his head right. The second month, I started noticing patterns. Sleeping in later, spending more time online, laughing at his phone in a way that didn't include me. By month 3, I was paying for everything. He said he was figuring things out. Said traditional jobs weren't for him. Said he needed time to explore options. I believed him because I wanted to. Because loving someone means giving them space when they're struggling. At least that's what I told myself. 8 months passed. 8 months of me paying rent. 8 months of groceries, utilities, streaming services. 8 months of him saying he'd start applying tomorrow. When I finally asked him, gently, to contribute something, anything, he bristled. You're obsessed with money, he said once, shaking his head like I'd disappointed him. Not everything is about bills. But everything was about bills, because I was the one paying them. I suggested he get a job. Not a dream job, just a job. Something to help, something to show effort. That was when he started calling me controlling. I remember the exact moment the word lodged itself into my spine. We were in the kitchen. I was holding a receipt, doing mental math. He crossed his arms and said, You're always monitoring me. It's exhausting. Monitoring him. As if asking for help keeping a roof over our heads was surveillance. Still, I stayed. Because we had history. because we had memories, because I believed relationships were supposed to weather rough patches. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that while I was working overtime, budgeting carefully, and telling myself this was temporary, he was building a second life. 6 months of messages, 6 months of late-night conversations I wasn't part of, 6 months of emotional intimacy with someone else, someone online, while I sat on the couch beside him, thinking we were just tired. By the time that text came in at work, the one about Valentine's Day and his online girlfriend, the truth had already been festering for half a year. I just hadn't been invited into it. Looking back, the signs were there long before the airport text detonated my life. They just didn't arrive wearing red flags. They came disguised as normal adjustments, the kind you make when you think a relationship is simply going through a phase. He started guarding his phone, not dramatically, not enough to raise alarms, just subtle shifts, turning the screen slightly away from me, smiling at messages he didn't explain, typing late at night while I pretended to sleep, the blue glow reflecting faintly on the ceiling. When I asked who he was talking to, he'd shrug. People from an online community. Friends. Gaming buddies. I didn't push. I trusted him. And more than that, I didn't want to become the woman who interrogated her partner just because he was unemployed and restless. There were other things, too. He stopped wanting to plan anything with me. No weekends away, no dinners out. Valentine's Day barely came up. When I mentioned it casually, he waved it off. "It's just a commercial holiday," he said. "You know that." Yet somehow he had the energy to stay up until 3 in the morning laughing into his headset. The financial tension grew quietly, like mold behind a wall. I'd ask him to chip in for groceries, and he'd sigh like I was missing the point of something deeper. "You're making everything transactional," he said once. "It's like you only value me for what I can provide." That one hurt, because I wasn't asking for provision. I was asking for participation. The supplementary credit card became another point of friction. I'd noticed charges for food delivery, online shopping, random digital purchases. Nothing massive, just constant. When I brought it up, carefully, he snapped. "So now you're tracking my spending?" "I'm just trying to manage the budget," I said. "You don't trust me." That word again. Controlling. Trust issues. Financial abuse. He hadn't said it yet, but the implication hovered there, waiting. What I didn't know was that while I was questioning myself, he was rewriting the story elsewhere, painting me as the villain, casting himself as misunderstood, emotionally neglected, trapped with a woman who cared more about rent than feelings. 6 months. That number haunted me once I knew it, because it meant every quiet night, every ignored conversation, every moment I felt him drifting. It wasn't random, it was redirected. I remember one evening clearly. I was on the couch, laptop open, working late. He was in the bedroom with the door closed, laughing softly. Not the laugh he used with me, lighter, intimate. I paused my typing and listened. Something in my chest tightened. "Everything okay?" I called out. "Yeah," he said quickly. "Just chatting." I let it go. I always let it go. By the time he sent that text telling me he was flying out that afternoon to meet his online girlfriend, he wasn't impulsive. He was decisive. He had already chosen her in his mind. What shocked him wasn't losing me. It was losing my money. And that was the first crack where the truth started leaking through. The moment I finished canceling the cards, I expected panic, regret, maybe fear. What I didn't expect was how quiet everything felt. I went back to work like nothing had happened, answered emails, sat through a meeting. A coworker glanced at me once and asked if I was okay. I said yes. The word came out steady, almost convincing. Inside, something had shifted, not broken, clicked. 2 hours after the text, my phone rang. "Unknown number," I answered. "What did you do?" His voice was sharp and frantic, panic threaded through every word. "My card got declined. I'm at the airport. They won't let me board. The Uber app says my payment method is invalid. What did you do?" I leaned back in my chair, heart beating slow and deliberate. "Where are you calling from?" I asked. "A payphone, at the airport." His breathing was uneven. My phone service stopped working too. "I canceled the cards," I said, "and removed your line." Silence. Then anger rushed in to replace the fear. "You can't do that. You know I don't have any money." "You said you were flying to meet your girlfriend," I replied. "Why would I pay for that?" "Because she's not just another woman," he snapped. "We have a deep emotional connection. Something you'd never understand because you only care about money and bills and stupid adult stuff." I laughed, just once. "Stupid adult stuff," I said, "like rent, utilities, food?" "This is abusive," he shot back. "You're financially abusing me. I'm stuck here." "No," I said calmly. You plan to fly across the country to meet another woman on my credit card. That's not me trapping you, that's you being reckless. Call Ashley, I added. I'm sure your girlfriend will help you. He hesitated. She can't, he muttered. She's between jobs. Of course she was. Then call your mom, I said, or your sister. I can't believe you're abandoning me at the airport. You abandoned this relationship, I said. I'm just making it official. His voice cracked. Please, just let me come home. We can talk. Home. The word landed wrong. You mean my apartment? I asked. The one you don't contribute to? Our apartment, he corrected automatically. Check the lease, I said. It's only my name. Always has been. Silence stretched between us. I can't believe you're doing this to me, he whispered. After everything. After everything? I repeated. After I supported you for 8 months? Paid for everything? While you were carrying on a 6-month online relationship behind my back? It wasn't lying, he protested weakly. It was exploring my options. That was it. I hung up. Later that night, around 8, my doorbell camera lit up. He wasn't alone. His sister stood beside him, arms crossed, jaw tight with anger. I watched them try the key. Once. Twice. The lock didn't budge. Then pounding. Open this door right now! I opened it, but kept the chain on. What kind of woman leaves her boyfriend stranded at the airport? His sister demanded. The kind whose boyfriend was flying to meet another woman on her credit card, I replied. He pushed forward. Baby, please. Ashley means nothing. You literally said she was your girlfriend, I said. Online girlfriend, he corrected quickly. It's different. That's cheating. His sister jumped in. She made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. You're really going to throw away 4 years over this? He threw it away when he started an online affair, I said. I'm just taking out the trash. He gasped. I am not trash. No, I said evenly, but your behavior is. She threatened legal action, accused me of abuse, claimed he was a tenant. He's not on the lease, I said. Never paid rent. In this state, that makes him a guest. I pointed to the hallway. 5 boxes, 2 suitcases, everything already packed. You went through my things? He asked. I packed them carefully, I said. Everything's there. As they loaded the car, he turned back one last time. Ashley would never treat me like this. Great, I said. Go be with Ashley. Then quieter, but sharp enough to land. Oh, wait, you can't. Because neither of you can afford a plane ticket. After they drove away, the apartment felt cavernous. Not empty. Exposed. Like a space that had finally exhaled after holding its breath for too long. I locked the door, checked it twice. Then I leaned my forehead against the wood and stood there, listening to my own breathing, waiting for the delayed shock everyone talks about. The sobbing. The collapse. It didn't come. Instead, there was a tight, steady pressure behind my ribs, like resolve forming where panic was supposed to be. I walked through the apartment slowly, noticing things I hadn't before. How quiet it was without the constant hum of his phone. How clean the counters looked without half-finished cups and takeout bags. How the air itself felt lighter, even though my chest still hurt. My phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. You're a horrible person. I can't believe you did this to him. I didn't need to guess who it was. I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, another message arrived, this time from him. Please, just let me come back tonight. We don't have to be together. I just need a place to stay. I stared at the words. The audacity of them. The way he slid so easily from betrayal to entitlement, as if the line between us had never existed. I typed once, deleted it, typed again. Then I put my phone face down on the table. That night, I barely slept. Not because I was crying, but because my mind wouldn't stop replaying everything I'd ignored. Every time I'd paid a bill silently, every time I'd swallowed resentment and told myself love required patience, every time I'd minimized my own needs to protect his ego. Around midnight, my phone lit up again. A social media notification. He'd posted, "When you find out your ex is a narcissistic abuser who abandoned you at the airport and made you homeless on Valentine's Day." I scrolled, numb. Some women can't handle strong men with emotional needs. Financial abuse is still abuse. Share if you've been mistreated. The comments were already piling up. Some people rallied around him instantly, friends who only knew his version. Others asked uncomfortable questions. Why were you at the airport? Didn't you say you had an online girlfriend? I closed the app. I didn't need to defend myself publicly. Not yet. The next morning, my phone rang. His mother. We'd always gotten along. Dinners, holidays, easy conversations. Hi, she said carefully. I'm hearing some things about you making him homeless. I took a breath. Did he tell you about Ashley? A pause. Who? His online girlfriend, I said. The one he was flying to meet on Valentine's Day, on my credit card. Silence stretched long enough that I checked the call hadn't dropped. Then she spoke, slower this time. What did you say? I forwarded her the original text. The line went quiet again. Finally, she exhaled sharply. Jesus, I raised an idiot. I didn't respond. He told me you were cheating, she added. That you were controlling him. I paid all his bills for 8 months, I said, while he built a relationship with another woman. Another long pause. He's staying with his sister, she said, and she's already complaining. He won't get a job, won't help around the house, just stays on his phone talking to this Ashley girl. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, she said, and this time I believed her. We liked you. I really am sorry. After the call ended, I sat on the couch and let the weight of it all settle. Not grief, exactly, but something closer to mourning the version of myself who'd tolerated so little for so long. That afternoon, another message came in. Unknown number. Hi, this is Ashley. I didn't open it right away. I just stared at my phone, heart steady, fingers calm. This wasn't over, but for the first time, I wasn't afraid of what came next. I didn't respond to Ashley's first message. I didn't need to. Whatever story she thought she was part of was already collapsing under its own weight, and I wasn't interested in holding up the ceiling for any of them. That didn't stop the messages. They came in waves, first polite, then indignant, then accusatory. Ashley. I think there's been a misunderstanding about me and him. Ashley. We're just friends. You didn't have to go nuclear like that. Ashley. You're holding his stuff hostage. That's not okay. I read them once, twice. Then I did something deliberate. I screenshot everything. Then I sent one message back. Me. Everything I kept, I paid for. If you want to fund his life, that's your choice. I'm done. Her response came fast. That's not very ladylike. I laughed out loud this time. Before I could block her, my phone buzzed again. This time a different unknown number. It was him. You're ruining my life, the text read. Ashley is upset. You didn't have to drag her into this. I stared at the screen, stunned by the audacity. Drag her into this? She had been in it for 6 months. Me. You dragged her in when you called her your girlfriend and tried to fly to her on my credit card. No response. That night, things escalated quickly. At 2 a.m, my doorbell camera sent an alert. I opened the app. There he was, standing in the hallway outside my apartment, alone, hood up, shoulders slumped in what I was sure he thought looked pitiful. He still had the key fob for the building. He didn't have a key for the apartment. I watched as he tried the handle once, then again, then slid a credit card along the frame, fumbling clumsily. I felt no fear, only irritation. After 10 minutes, he gave up and taped a note to the door. We need to talk. You're being unreasonable. Ashley and I are just friends now. Please give us another chance. I love you. Just friends already. That was fast. The next morning, my work phone rang. HR. Someone had filed an anonymous complaint claiming I was bragging about making a man homeless and creating a hostile work environment. I didn't panic. I brought receipts, texts, screenshots, doorbell footage, the original message about Valentine's Day. My manager skimmed everything, jaw tightening. Your ex is unstable, he said carefully. We'll note this as a personal matter. Try to keep it out of the office. I already am, I said. This wasn't my choice. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. The desperation phase kicked in. He created a crowdfunding page. Help me escape my abusive ex and start fresh. The description read like a work of fiction. According to him, I'd controlled all the money, isolated him from friends and family, emotionally abused him for years, and sabotaged his escape when he finally tried to leave. Goal: $5,000. Raised: $73,000. All from his sister. One of my friends commented a single sentence. Didn't you cheat on her with some online woman? The page vanished within hours. Then Ashley reached out again. I think there's been a misunderstanding, she wrote. We've always just been friends. I paused. Then I replied. Me. Then you should ask him why he told me you were his girlfriend. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Reappeared. Finally. He said you two were basically over, that you were just roommates. Financially tied. Nothing serious. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Me. He lived with me. I paid for everything. We were very much together. Her reply came slower this time. I have a boyfriend, she wrote, of 2 years. I blinked. Read it again. Then everything snapped into focus. Me. Does your boyfriend know you've been talking to my ex every night for 6 months? Silence. 10 minutes passed. Then my phone rang, this time from his sister. She was crying. Loud. Messy. He won't stop screaming, she said. Ashley blocked him. Her boyfriend found out. He says you ruined everything. No, I said quietly. He did. She begged me to talk to him, to calm him down, to fix it. I refused. That night, the messages turned ugly. You owe me after everything I did for you. You'll never find anyone like me. You're going to die alone. I didn't respond. I saved every message, because at that point, I wasn't dealing with heartbreak anymore. I was dealing with consequences, and they were finally catching up to him. The worst part wasn't the insults. It wasn't being called cold, or heartless, or abusive. I'd learned quickly that when someone loses control of a narrative, they start throwing words like weapons and hope something lands. The worst part was the flood. Once he realized guilt wouldn't work, he unleashed everyone else. First came his cousin. He's really struggling, the message read. Can't you just help him a little? He has nothing. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Me. He has exactly what he's always had. Nothing he earned himself. That's cruel, the cousin shot back. It wasn't cruel. It was accurate. Then his aunt tried. You lived together for 2 years. Doesn't that mean anything? It meant I supported a grown man who chose emotional escape over accountability. But I didn't type that. I didn't need to. I stopped responding altogether. That silence, that boundary, seemed to infuriate them more than anything else I could have said. Ashley disappeared completely after that night. Blocked him. Blocked me. Vanished. Her boyfriend, though, didn't. He messaged me late one evening. The tone was controlled, clipped, but I could feel the anger vibrating beneath every word. She thought he was just a gaming friend. He sent photos she never asked for. We're trying to work through it. I read the message twice, then once more. I felt a flicker of something. Solidarity, maybe? Or the quiet recognition between two people who had just realized they'd both been lied to in different ways. I'm sorry you're dealing with this too, I replied. His response came quickly. She's messaging my friends now, telling them I'm insecure, trying to break us up. That tracked. Meanwhile, he spiraled. His sister called again 2 days later, her voice thin and exhausted. I'm kicking him out, she said. I can't do this anymore. I said nothing. He won't work, she continued. Won't help around the house. Just sits there blaming you for everything. Still nothing. If you don't take him back, she added, desperation sharpening her tone, I don't know what he'll do. That was the moment the weight hit me. Not guilt. Responsibility that wasn't mine, but had been quietly placed on my shoulders anyway. I took a breath. You should do what you need to do, I said evenly. I'm not his solution. She hung up without saying goodbye. That night, the text came fast and vicious. You ruined my life. You owe me. I was there for you. You'll never find anyone like me. Then, crueler, you're going to die alone. I was the best thing that ever happened to you. I sat on my couch in the dark, phone glowing in my hands, and felt something heavy press down on my chest. Not sadness. Grief. For the years I'd spent trying to save someone who never wanted to stand on his own. For the version of myself who'd believed love meant endurance. I screenshot everything. Every message, every threat, every accusation. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I needed proof. Proof that walking away hadn't been cruelty. It had been survival. The next morning, I woke up with a dull headache and a knot in my stomach. My apartment was quiet, sunlight spilling across the floor like it didn't know my life had imploded. I made coffee, sat at the table, and for the first time since this began, I felt truly alone. Not abandoned. Unanchored. There was no one left to argue with, no one left to explain myself to, no one left to fix. And that scared me more than the chaos ever had. Because now there was nowhere to hide. Just me. The shift didn't happen in a dramatic moment. There was no final scream, no cinematic confrontation. It happened quietly, on an ordinary morning, when I realized something simple and irreversible. I was no longer reacting. For weeks, everything I'd done had been defensive. Blocking numbers, saving screenshots, explaining myself to people who didn't deserve explanations, bracing for the next wave of chaos. But that morning, as sunlight spilled across my kitchen floor and the coffee machine hummed in the background, I noticed my hands weren't shaking anymore. My heart wasn't racing. My phone was silent. And instead of dread, I felt space. That's when I understood. The truth was already out, and I didn't need to fight for it anymore. He had tried every version of control he knew. Victim. Victim with tears. Victim with an audience. Victim with flying monkeys. None of it had worked. His sister kicking him out wasn't my doing. Ashley blocking him wasn't my doing. Her boyfriend discovering the truth wasn't my doing. All I had done was stop lying for him. Stop paying for him. Stop cushioning his fall. And once the safety net disappeared, gravity did the rest. That afternoon, another message came through, this time from his aunt again, softer now. We didn't know the whole story. I stared at the words, then typed back only once. Me. Now you do. I didn't argue. I didn't justify. I didn't reopen wounds. I set the phone down and went back to my life. That evening, I cleaned the apartment. Not nervously, not angrily. Methodically. I boxed up the last few items that reminded me of him. Old hoodies, a charger he'd left behind, a stack of unopened mail addressed to him. I dropped the box off at his sister's place the next day, left it on the porch, didn't knock. Closure didn't need witnesses. Later that week, my phone buzzed again. It was him. A new number. The message was shorter than before. No insults, no accusations. Can we talk? I just want to explain. I read it once. Then I deleted it. For the first time since this started, I didn't feel tempted to respond. Not to defend myself, not to prove anything, not even to say no. Because explanations only matter when someone is willing to take responsibility. And he never had. The final confirmation came unexpectedly from his mother. She called late one afternoon, her voice tired but steady. "He's moving back home," she said. "Your name came up again. He says you ruined his life." I waited. "I told him something he didn't like," she continued. "I told him the only thing you did was stop enabling him." I closed my eyes. "Thank you," I said quietly. She sighed. "I'm sorry it took this long." After the call ended, I sat on the couch and let it settle. Not triumph, not revenge. Relief. The truth no longer needed me to carry it. It was standing on its own now, uncomfortable, undeniable, and finally unavoidable for everyone else. That night, I blocked his last remaining number. Not in anger, in finality. And when I set my phone down, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Power. Not over him, over myself. The collapse didn't come all at once. It came in fragments, messy, public, and impossible for him to spin, no matter how hard he tried. 3 days after his sister kicked him out, the first rumor reached me through someone I hadn't spoken to in years. He borrowed her credit card. Not mine, his sister's. Apparently, he'd gone on a small shopping spree before she noticed. Clothes, gadgets, essentials, according to him. When she confronted him, he exploded, accused her of betrayal, claimed everyone was conspiring against him. She kicked him out that same night. Then came the next wave. He moved back in with his parents. That lasted exactly 3 days. His father gave him an ultimatum. Get a job or get out. Not a dream job, not a passion project, any job. He chose neither. Instead, he chose to text me. The messages started soft. "Hey, can we talk? I miss you. I made a mistake." When I didn't respond, the tone shifted. "You owe me after everything I did for you. I decorated your apartment. I supported you emotionally." Then it turned vicious. "You'll never find anyone like me. You're going to die alone. I was the best thing that ever happened to you." I didn't reply. I screenshot everything. Because at that point, it wasn't about closure. It was about documentation. The pressure campaign ramped up. His cousin tried again. "He has nothing. Can't you just help him out a little?" Me. "He has exactly what he's always had." That was the last message I sent to anyone in his family. Even Ashley's orbit started collapsing. Her boyfriend reached out once more, not angry this time, just exhausted. "She's messaging everyone I know," he wrote, "trying to tell them I'm controlling, saying you poisoned me against her." I read it, then set my phone down. That wasn't my problem anymore. A week later, his mother called again. Her voice sounded different this time, resigned. "He tried to convince us that you were abusive," she said, "that you controlled all the money." "And?" I asked. "And then we asked him why he never paid rent," she replied flatly. "Why he didn't work for 8 months. Why he planned a Valentine's trip he couldn't afford." She paused. He didn't have answers. That silence did more damage to him than any argument ever could. The final spiral came fast. He showed up at my workplace. Security called me. "There's a man here asking for you," the guard said. "Claims it's an emergency." "It's not," I replied. "Please escort him out." I watched on the security monitor as they walked him to the door. He was carrying a box, things he'd clearly hidden before moving out, hoping they'd be leverage. He texted from the parking lot. "I have your sweatshirt, your mug. Let me up and we can talk." Me. "Keep them." That seemed to break something. His parents gave him 30 days to find somewhere else to live. The meltdown was spectacular. Public posts, rants about capitalism, accusations of abuse, claims that everyone had failed him. His mother commented once, just once, "You are 30, get a job." After that, she stopped engaging. I didn't feel satisfaction watching it unfold, just inevitability, because nothing I did caused his downfall. I didn't sabotage him. I didn't expose lies that weren't already there. I didn't punish him. I simply stopped paying, stopped covering, stopped enabling. And without someone cushioning the consequences, reality hit exactly as hard as it was supposed to. By the time the noise faded, there was nothing left for him to blame except himself. 3 months after the airport incident, my life was quiet again. Not the heavy, anxious quiet I'd lived with for years, but a clean one. The kind that lets you hear your own thoughts without bracing for interruption. My apartment stayed clean. My bank account stayed steady. My phone stayed silent. He didn't. According to his sister, who I no longer spoke to directly, he bounced between couches for a while before landing back at his parents' house. They made one rule: he had to pay rent. He complained about it online daily, about toxic parents, about late-stage capitalism, about how unfair it was to expect a grown man to contribute. His mother commented once, "Your father and I work full-time in our 50s while you complain about 30-hour weeks." After that, she stopped engaging. Ashley tried again with someone new. An online connection. Different country this time. He blocked her on their second video call after she asked him to pay for her plane ticket. Patterns don't change just because the players do. As for me, I got a promotion at work. Turns out when no one is draining your emotional energy, finances, or peace, you show up better. You think clearer. You breathe easier. I started casually dating again. Nothing dramatic. Just dinners, conversations, men who had jobs, men who paid for their own lives, men who didn't confuse entitlement with intimacy. The bar wasn't high, just real, he found out eventually. Small city, loose tongues. He texted one last time from a new number. "So you replaced me already?" I answered once. "Me. You replaced yourself 6 months ago. I just accepted your resignation." Then I blocked him. For good. Here's what I learned. Love doesn't mean endurance. Support doesn't mean sacrifice without limit. And boundaries aren't cruelty. They're clarity. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And when they try to live off your effort, your money, and your patience, stop providing the safety net. You don't need revenge. You don't need closure. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step back and let reality finish the conversation for you. Thank you to everyone who shared their own stories, offered support, or simply listened. If this resonated with you, you're not alone. Feel free to comment, share, and subscribe. Your voice might help someone else take their first step toward choosing themselves. And remember, peace isn't found by fixing people who refuse to grow. It's found the moment you stop trying.